Stay at home book tag, roll 1, scene 1, take 1. Hey folks, my name is Aaron Draper and welcome to Fantasy Creek. Let's dive into the world of fantasy. So today we have a book tag. So I've seen this around YouTube a bit, where people are answering a few questions and what they're up to during this lockdown period. So I like the idea, and I got this idea from Rites' video. So I'd like to say thank you to her, and her channel is linked in the description. Also, I'd like to nominate a few people. These are people who I've met over YouTube, and also that I really like watching their videos. Also thank you to them. And you guys, whoever gets nominated, you don't need to do this. It's just if you see this or happen to come across it and you want to do it, go for it. But if you don't feel like doing it, no worries. Best on the Shelf, I'd like to nominate you. He's been doing some really great videos recently. I've been doing a read through of like Moby Dick and stuff, and yeah, it's really, really good. And the next one is Hakon Soreide. I'm not sure if that's exactly how you pronounce his name, so I apologise if it's not. He does really great sort of music, and he's been playing fighting fantasy books as well, and he's got a load of really cool videos on his channel, so his is also in the description if you want to check that out. So I'd like to nominate you. And the Geeky Heathen as well, I'd like to nominate you. He's got loads, he's been going for a long time, and he's got loads of really great videos on there as well. So if any of you guys see this video and you want to do it, awesome, that's great, and I look forward to seeing your answers. So the first one, number 1, is Laying in Bed. A book you could or have read in a day. I've recently got into the Discworld books, and I've really been enjoying them. And one of the ones, the third one in the publishing order, is the Equal Rites. And I read this in 3 days, consecutive days, about a few weeks ago. I really enjoyed it. Like, I think I could have read it faster, but I had quite a lot of other things I was doing those days. So I was kind of split up, but I could see myself, if I was more available on like one day, if I had like a whole day I could just sit in bed, I could easily power through this. Because the first two are about Rincewind and Two Flower and that sort of story, and then this moves on to the witches. And Esk is the main character, and she she's like a female, and she tries to become, throughout the story, a wizard. She starts off getting trained up by a witch, and her main goal is to try and become a wizard. And I thought it was a really touching story, really great connection between the sort of the grandmother witch and the sort of the granddaughter, and just a very sweet story. And I found it a lot more easy to follow than the first two. I think it was probably because I was getting more used to his writing style and everything as well, and it was pretty crazy stuff. And then this one just felt a bit more like, yeah, had a much more sort of pace to it, and it just kind of flowed a lot more nicer. And even though I loved all of what I've read so far, I'm on Mort now, which is the 4th one. So yeah, I'd like to do some book reviews of these at some point, of the Terry Pratchett ones. So, snacking, a guilty pleasure book. Now, I haven't got that many guilty pleasure books, to be honest. I've probably got more like series and films and things that I would probably consider more guilty pleasures. But Name of the Wind, I would say, is my kind of go-to read that I've read it a few times now. And even just when I'm just feeling like it, I'll pick it up and just start having a little read and a little flick through. Just because I really enjoy the character, the world. The magic system is probably one of the most thought out, that, in my opinion. I just like love the style of the magic system in this, and how it has like a scientific kind of approach to it. Really loved it. Quoth is like just a really enjoyable character to follow along, I think. So yeah, there's that as well. So, a Netflix series you want to start. This would be the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. I've been looking at that, and I used to really love the old version of it, or sort of the original version of it, I should say. So knowing that that is a new series, and it's still got that similar sort of puppetry style, looks great, and I'm surprised I haven't actually got around to watching it yet because I'm actually that pumped for it. But yeah, just so much come up, and now I think, to be honest, now yeah, I probably will get around to watching it in the next sort of few weeks, so that'll be cool, and perhaps I'll do a little review on that as well. So now, A Deep Clean, a book that's been on your TBR for ages. So The Way of Shadows. The Way of the Shadows is the one I say that I've had a long time but not got round to reading yet. And I think it's partly because it's over 600 pages. And there's also, I've got the whole trilogy as well. It's the Night Angel trilogy. And I felt like it was a big commitment and I haven't found the perfect time to break into it. But I am looking forward to reading this, and I've heard it's quite good. And it sounds like a lot of fun. It's kind of like a lone wolf kind of assassin guy, very roguish. He's kind of goes into this guild and he's got to work his way up, and it just sounds like quite an interesting read, to be honest. So yeah, that's my need to read soon one. And then we've got Animal Crossing, a book you recently bought because of hype. Now, I didn't recently buy this. It was probably a couple of years ago now. It was when it was Ready Player One, and it was when it was probably like just when the first trailer came out for the movie, and I hadn't really heard about the book before, but I saw the trailer probably, I don't know, it was about 8 months or something before the film came out, and I really liked the premise of the film style and the premise of the trailer. So I was like, oh, I'm going to read the book and see what it's like. And then, because I generally prefer reading a book before watching the film. And I'm glad I did, because I really loved this book. I really enjoyed it. And I recommend it to anyone out there who likes... it's got a bit of everything. It's got sci-fi, but it's also got medieval fantasy with like all these different references to like Dungeons and Dragons and so many references. I would say the amount of references is probably a max limit. You wouldn't want to go any more references. Sometimes it can be quite a few sort of 80s references on one page, but I still really like that because a lot of them it takes me back, and I'm just like, oh yeah, that's great nostalgia. So yeah, it's really good. I think I probably preferred the book to the film, but most people say that. But I did really like it. There was a point where I was reading and they referenced in one of the sort of the clubs that they were in that the Rebel Yell by Billy Idol, and I hadn't listened to it for ages, and I just had to stop listening, reading the book, and had to like quickly play that song and just like have a little boogie down to that, because it was just, oh, I love that song, and then it like put me in the mindset even more of the story, and then I went back in and read the rest of that chapter. And yeah, so at the end of this video, go and watch listen to the Rebel Yell. It's a good song. So, productivity, a book you learnt or had an impact on you. So this will probably be The Day of the Triffids. I really love this book. Now, when I was in my teens, I used to do a lot of reading, and then I went to college and I went to university, and I stopped reading for quite a while. And then I had my son, who's now 3, and just before having him, we moved house, and I started getting back into reading again. And then the first book that I got was Day of the Triffids to get me back into reading. And it was one of those moments where I was like, I can't believe I stopped reading for so long. But also, I would sit there with my partner, and we were in bed at night, both sitting there reading, and it just felt like, and I was having a son, and it was like, God, I'm really getting old now. But yeah, it was really, really great book. It makes you think as well, like it makes you think of the world, makes you think of like apocalypse and how the world can change, and especially like probably it's a good good book to read during lockdown, to be honest. So maybe give that a read, give that a little whirl when you're in lockdown. Facetime, a book you were gifted. Now, a friend of mine called Chrissy gave me this, and this is a great book. Again, another really perfect read for lockdown is Redwall, and this is about sort of animals and their life, and it's got a very sweet story. It's quite uplifting, you know. There's downs and there's ups, but it's a YA read, so it's quite light, and you know, it's a good lockdown read. I think Dan Green, who does book reviews and fantasy reviews on YouTube, he also recommended this as a lockdown read as well in one of his videos. So yeah, check it out if you haven't, or perhaps give it another reread. So yeah, and then it says self-care. What is one thing you've done recently to look after yourself? And so I've tried to get into more of a routine. I found being in lockdown, it's helped me to get through with like having a set time to wake up each day, do a bit of like exercise, and then I'll work, look after my son, and then I have like evening to just sort of chill out, read books, and play some games, things like that. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying to do, a routine. Bonus, name a book coming out soon. Well, it's not so much coming out soon, but The Doors of Stone by Patrick Rothfuss, who also writ Name of the Wind. That's a book that I'm really hoping to come out soon, but I don't think it said there's like rumours that it might come out in like mid this year, so who knows. It's maybe he's had more time if he's been in lockdown as well. That would be pretty cool to write his book. So if Patrick, you're watching this right now, probably unlikely, but if you are, please finish your book. It would be great. Really looking forward to it. Yeah, so that's all the questions and answers. If anyone else watches this and I haven't tagged you, please feel free to do one. I'd love to see. Leave a message in the comments if you have. And yeah, thank you, and thank you for joining me at Fantasy Creek, and see you in the next video.